Right now, something is stressing you out that you have zero power to change. A delayed flight, a coworker's mood, what your ex thinks of you, and here's the uncomfortable truth. You're not stressed because of that thing, and you're stressed because you're fighting for control over something that was never yours to control. 2,000 years ago, a man named Epictetus was born into slavery in the Roman Empire. He owned nothing, not his body, not his schedule, not even the direction of his own life. And yet, he became one of the most influential philosophers in human history. How does a man with no control over his circumstances end up teaching emperors how to think? Because he discovered something most of us spend our entire lives missing. There are exactly two categories of things in this world: things you control and things you don't. That's it. That's the whole framework. Epictetus called it the dichotomy of control, and it might be the single most useful idea in all of Stoic philosophy. Not the most comforting, not the easiest to accept, but the most useful because it works immediately on almost anything. Here's how Epictetus actually framed it. In your control, your judgments, your desires, your reactions, your effort. Not in your control, your body, your reputation, other people's opinions, the outcome of nearly everything you attempt. Read that list again. Notice what's on the in your control side. It's small. It's almost entirely internal. And notice what's on the not in your control side. It's basically everything we spend our lives obsessing over. Our health, what people think of us, whether we get the promotion, whether the flight is on time. Epictetus wasn't being pessimistic, he was being precise. Because here's the part people miss. He wasn't telling you to stop caring about your health, your job, or your relationships. He was telling you to stop confusing your effort, which you control, with the outcome, which you don't. You control whether you train hard. You don't control whether you win. You control whether you prepare for the interview. You don't control whether they hire you. You control how you show up in a relationship. You don't control how the other person responds. Almost every moment of suffering in your life traces back to one thing: putting your peace of mind in the not in my control column. Here's a way to test this in your own life. Think back to the last time you felt truly anxious, not mildly annoyed, but genuinely anxious. Chances are, if you trace that feeling to its root, you'll find yourself gripping something outside your control. Whether someone will call you back, whether a decision that's already been made will go your way, whether people are talking about you behind your back. You cannot currently act on any of those things. You can only act on your response to them. And that's exactly where Epictetus wants your attention, not because the world doesn't matter, but because your peace only ever lived in one place. Here's why this ancient idea is more relevant now than it's ever been. We live in the most control illusion-generating environment in human history. Social media tells you that with the right effort, you can control how people perceive you. News cycles tell you that if you just stay informed enough, outraged enough, you can control global events through sheer emotional intensity. Productivity culture tells you that with the right system, the right morning routine, the right 5-step plan, you can control outcomes that are actually decided by luck, timing, and other people's decisions. Every one of these is a lie that keeps you exhausted. Think about how much of your day is spent trying to manage things that were never yours to manage. Refreshing a message thread, hoping to control how quickly someone responds. Rehearsing an argument in the shower, trying to control how a conversation that hasn't happened yet will go. Checking analytics on something you posted, trying to control a perception forming in 1,000 strangers' minds at once. None of it is yours. And the exhausting part isn't the effort. It's the illusion that effort there will ever produce peace. The dichotomy of control isn't outdated advice from a man in a toga. It's a filter you desperately need in a world engineered to make you believe you can control things you can't. So you'll stay anxious, stay scrolling, stay engaged. This single distinction, mind to control, not mind to control, is the closest thing philosophy has to a mental immune system. Let me tell you about a woman I'll call Sarah, mid-30s, marketing director, sharp, driven. Sarah spent 3 weeks building a campaign pitch for a huge client. She researched obsessively. She rehearsed the presentation until she could deliver it in her sleep. The morning of the pitch, she felt ready. The client said no. Not because the work was bad, because their budget got cut internally for reasons that had nothing to do with Sarah at all. The old Sarah, the one who hadn't encountered this framework, spirals here. She replays the presentation obsessively, searching for the flaw that must have been there. She takes the rejection personally. She loses sleep. She second guesses her entire career, lying awake, wondering if she's actually as good at her job as she thought. But Sarah had been practicing the dichotomy of control for months. So instead, she asked herself one question: was this outcome in my control? No. Her research, her preparation, her delivery, all in her control, and all excellent. The client's internal budget decision, never in her control, not even for a second. She felt disappointed. That's human, and Stoicism never asks you to skip that. It doesn't ask you to pretend the loss didn't sting, but she didn't spiral because she wasn't confused about where responsibility actually lived. She'd done her part completely. The rest was never hers to carry. That distinction between effort and outcome is the difference between a bad afternoon and a bad month. Here's an exercise you can do today, right now, in under 5 minutes. Step 1. Think of something currently stressing you out. Write it down or just hold it clearly in your mind. Step 2. Draw a simple line down a page. Left side, in my control. Right side, not in my control. Step 3. Break the situation into its actual components. Be brutally specific, not the exam, but my studying versus the exact questions asked. Not the relationship, but how I communicate versus how they respond. Step 4. Look only at the left column. That's your job. That's where your energy goes today. Step 5. For everything on the right, say the sentence out loud, even if it feels strange. This was never mine to control. Not as resignation, as relief. Do this daily for 1 week, with one situation each day. You'll start to notice something. Most of your stress was never really about the event. It was about your grip on something that was never in your hands to begin with. The dichotomy of control isn't about caring less. It's about caring correctly, pouring your full effort into what's yours, and releasing your grip on what never was. If this breakdown helped you find a little more clarity in the chaos, do me a favor and hit that like button. And it really helps this message find its way to others who are struggling to let go. And if you're ready to master your own mind, make sure to subscribe. Next episode, we go one layer deeper. Once you understand what you can't control, the real question becomes, how do you actually love the parts of your life you didn't choose? That's amor fati, and it might change how you see your entire past. I'll see you there.